Have you ever noticed that the deeper you think, the further away you seem to drift from the people around you? It feels as if every new insight pushes you into greater solitude. You bring up an idea in conversation, something meaningful, something that questions the ordinary, and instead of engagement, you're met with blank stares, awkward laughter, or a quick change of topic. It almost feels like the world doesn't want to hear. And, in a way, it doesn't. Throughout history, societies have been uneasy with those who think too deeply. Not because those thinkers were wrong, but because they revealed truths people weren't ready to face. From Socrates being sentenced to death, to Galileo placed under house arrest, to modern visionaries ignored until after their deaths, this story repeats again and again. But why? Why does deep thinking create distance instead of connection? Why do people resist those who ask difficult questions? The answer lies not in philosophy alone, but in psychology, biology, and even the structure of society itself. When we encounter someone stronger than us physically, we don't feel attacked. We often admire them. When we meet someone wealthy, we may feel envy, but rarely hostility. But intelligence is different. When you stand next to someone who sees more clearly, who thinks more deeply, who questions what you've taken for granted, it can feel like they're exposing something fragile within you. Psychologists call this intellectual threat. It's a kind of mirror effect. The deep thinker doesn't just offer ideas, they reflect back the limitations of those around them. And most people don't forgive that easily. This is why, throughout history, deep thinkers have often been ridiculed or silenced. Not because their ideas lacked value, but because their presence disrupted comfort. Why does intelligence feel so personal? Because unlike strength or beauty or wealth, intelligence is tied directly to identity. We define ourselves by our beliefs, our understanding of the world, our stories about who we are. When someone questions these foundations, it doesn't just feel like disagreement. It feels like a threat to our very sense of self. This is why so many resist philosophy. It's not that they can't understand. It's that understanding forces them to confront uncomfortable truths. And human beings are wired to protect their ego above almost everything else. Think of the philosopher Nietzsche, who argued that most of society lives under comforting illusions. His radical call to create one's own values was met with rejection, dismissal, and even accusations of madness. Today, his ideas influence psychology, literature, and politics. But in his lifetime, they made people deeply uncomfortable. From a biological perspective, humans evolved in groups where survival depended on acceptance. Being cast out of the tribe meant vulnerability. So our brains are designed to prioritize harmony over truth. This is why, in group settings, when someone introduces a disruptive or complex idea, it often creates tension rather than curiosity. People instinctively protect the collective story, even if it's false. Psychologists call this status quo bias, the preference for familiar ideas over disruptive ones. Pair that with the backfire effect, where confronting evidence only strengthens existing beliefs, and you begin to see why truth has such a hard time spreading. History is filled with examples. Brilliant ideas dismissed not because they were wrong, but because they appeared at the wrong time. Here lies the paradox. The more someone seeks truth, the more they risk being cut off from others. Confidence, not intelligence, often determines influence. People are naturally drawn to certainty, even if it's shallow. This is why motivational slogans, populist speeches, and viral content spread faster than nuanced philosophy. Meanwhile, deep thinkers, who speak with hesitation, complexity, and doubt, struggle to reach the same audience. Society values simplicity over depth, reassurance over reflection. But here's the irony. The very thinkers rejected in their lifetimes often become the icons of progress centuries later. Socrates, condemned for corrupting the youth, chose death over abandoning his principles. His real crime? Teaching people to question. Galileo, punished for revealing that Earth revolves around the sun, shattered centuries of religious dogma. His discoveries were undeniable, but they were silenced until it was safe to accept them. Hypatia of Alexandria, a woman philosopher and mathematician, was brutally murdered by a mob because her rational ideas threatened authority. Tesla, whose vision of free energy could have revolutionized the world, died in poverty and obscurity, while others profited from his stolen work. Alan Turing, the genius who helped end World War II, was persecuted for his personal life rather than honored for his brilliance. The pattern is clear. Society resists its deepest thinkers until time dulls the threat they represent. Only then are they celebrated. Modern neuroscience reveals why this happens. When people feel intellectually inferior, the brain's fear center, the amygdala, activates as if facing physical danger. Deep ideas don't just feel confusing, they feel threatening. Evolution favored group belonging over individual truth. This is why people often choose comfort, even when truth is available. It's why small talk thrives while meaningful conversations vanish. Add to this the Dunning-Kruger effect, where those who know little overestimate their knowledge, while the truly knowledgeable doubt themselves, and you get constant friction between deep thinkers and society. And today, in the digital age, the problem has only grown. Algorithms reward engagement, not depth. Viral content is short, emotional, and easily digested. Deep ideas, by their very nature, take time. They resist simplification, and so they struggle to compete. Shallow certainty spreads. Nuanced thought stalls. Echo chambers form, where people hear only what confirms their beliefs. And the deep thinker, once again, is left on the margins. The philosopher Schopenhauer argued that intelligence is not a gift, but a burden. While most people chase pleasure and comfort, the highly intelligent pursue truth, even when it hurts. The more you understand, the harder it becomes to connect with those content with illusions. For Schopenhauer, solitude was not punishment, but privilege. He advised deep thinkers to use isolation for creativity, to seek out like-minded individuals, and to be wise about when to reveal difficult truths. To him, intelligence was a double-edged sword, a clearer vision of reality paired with a heavier weight of loneliness. So, what does this mean for those who feel misunderstood? It means you're not broken. You're simply tuned differently. But it also means you need strategies. Embrace solitude as an opportunity, not a curse. Seek quality over quantity in relationships. You don't need many who understand you, just a few who truly do. Communicate wisely. Not everyone is ready for depth. Save your deepest thoughts for the spaces that value them. Simplify without losing meaning. As Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Remember, society may resist deep thinkers, but it also depends on them. Progress always begins with those willing to see what others avoid. Deep thinkers throughout history have been rejected, ignored, or ridiculed, but their ideas later became the foundation of human progress. Society doesn't fear intelligence itself. It fears what intelligence reveals: change, uncertainty, discomfort. If you've ever felt lonely in your thoughts, remember this: you are not alone. The greatest minds of history walked the same path. They were ahead of their time, and so are you. In the end, it's not about fitting in, It's about carrying the torch of truth, even when the world resists its light. So ask yourself, will you trade comfort for clarity, illusion for insight, belonging for truth? Because in the echoes of thought, progress begins. If this resonated with you, share your thoughts below. Have you ever felt rejected for thinking too deeply? Let's start a conversation.